Welcome back, and this is the CROSSFIRE with ISHIOMA. I'm Professor Wazobia Jr. on the program today. Now, from our discussions today, well, if you're just joining us, we're talking about restructuring Nigeria, to restructure or not to restructure. And so far, we've been having an amazing discussion, and it's obvious that Nigeria needs restructuring. And from what we've been able to take on the program today, restructuring Nigeria will include economic restructuring, political restructuring, and nationalistic restructuring. Nationalistic in the sense on how we relate with one another, how we live together as people from different ethnic groups living together in one indivisible country under God. Well, now let's get to the other crucial issue, and that is, what are the steps we need to take to ensure that we live together? What are those steps we need to take in restructuring Nigeria?
ISHIOMA, I'll give you 3 strong ways that this can be achieved. The first is if we had a responsible National Assembly that would effectively follow through the process of constitutional amendment. Yeah. They can get to issues about resource control, devolution of powers, and then they can shift some of the responsibilities on the exclusive list of our Constitution and leave basically issues of defense, customs and immigration, the armed forces, and a few other issues about foreign policy to the federal government, and then let other issues about education, about power generation and the others devolve to the states. And when we do all that, if the Constitution does that, like you have the PIB bill that will allow the states function and own their wells, and then perhaps contribute 50% to the center, you find out that we will have a less than wielding federal government, and we will have mutual trust and understanding in this country.
Instead of having a PIB, we may end up having an NRIB, National Resources or Natural Resources Industry Bill, probably.
No, perhaps even state mineral resources industry bills, you know. But the point is that we have to look at that. Then if the National Assembly is unwilling to do that, just like I suggested in a piece I did during when our former president constituted his political confab, national confab, yeah. I said to them, instead of having this problem of coming out with a report that will not become law, that will not become the new constitution, merge the 469 members of the National Assembly with the members of the confab, merge them, you will have about 800 to 900 members who will sit, please let me learn, it's important, who will sit as a confab, as a constitutional conference. They will discuss these issues, and then after discussing the issues that we need, merge them with civil society, the ethnic nationalities, labor organizations, merge them, and then they sit for 3 months and discuss these issues. When they finish, you subject the report to a referendum. If the referendum is gotten out, when the referendum report comes out, then it becomes our constitution. Now you won't have a situation where they'll say, oh, go through to 10 of 36 states. It becomes unwieldy and difficult. True. Now, that's point number 2. Then point number 3, the executive can sponsor a bill along the line of devolving power to federating units, along the lines of making investment in petroleum, in mineral resources, an issue for concurrent legislation where the states and the federal government will be involved, and then make the resources such that the federal government keeps 50% and the states keep 50%, so they can pay salaries. If you sponsor this executive bill, it goes to the National Assembly, and then if it comes out as a law, we have a sizable constitution that cares about the fundamentals. I know that when ISHIOMA power devolves to federating units, you find out that Nigerians will not be talking so much about who was appointed Minister of Works, who was not appointed MD of MPA, who was appointed, you know, you find out fundamentally that Nigerians will aggregate as one, knowing that our constitution respects everybody equally. But if you continue to talk about the need for men, quote unquote, of values, men of integrity in this superstructure that has not been negotiated, you will have problems. I'll give you a practical instance. You listen to the new British Prime Minister, Theresa May, and then did you hear what she said? She said that the United Kingdom believes in the Union. a negotiated union between the Wales, the Scottish, Northern Ireland, and England.
Even though the Scottish right now are considering
but they negotiated the terms of their existence, and they have unionist papers and agreement. Now you're talking about integrity. On what will the Nigerian integrity be predicated? On a military decree called a constitution? I think that the time has come for us to discuss and move this country
let's take
forward.
this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Godwin. Welcome to Crossfire.
Yeah, I'm calling from a Good.
Okay, Edwin, sorry. Please.
Thank you for a very good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. They say everybody's like a Jamaican musician who said everybody's talking about crime. Then who are the criminals? The whole country is talking about restructuring today.
Yeah.
Then who are those going against it? This is the question. Whenever one person is affected with an issue, people tend to come out with views that are let's go on restructuring. For years, Nigeria has been talking of restructuring. The question is, are some people against it or for it? We should first of all, we don't just talk about restructuring or constitution. Let's identify those who are against restructuring and those who are in favor of restructuring. Like the last constitutional conference, you see what happened. When they say we should go for a national sovereign conference, the same people calling for restructuring now went against it. So the issue is that when we continue saying we need restructure, who are those against it? We should identify those. We can't just be speaking about restructure. Who are those against it?
When we identify them, what should we do?
We should identify those against it. Thank you very much.
All right, Edwin. Thank you. We have Shay on the line holding on. Good morning, Shay. Hello, Shay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Crossfire.
Hello, good morning.
We can hear you. Good morning.
Yeah, I have two questions for the Prof.
Okay.
Now, you said restructuring of this country is essential. Yeah, I understand. And you're talking about resource control as well. Now, with the caliber of politicians we have in this country, don't you think increasing the derivation from 13% to about 20 or 30% is better than giving them a resource control, looking at the caliber of politicians we have currently and the human resources we have. Then secondly, don't you think restructure, if you look at the population or the geometrical distribution of populations and the politicians we have now in the country, do you think if there's a referendum, do you think people will vote in terms of resource control or restructuring? Do you think we have yes as a referendum? Thank you.
Okay.
ISHIOMA,
before you respond, please, we have Moses, so we don't lose thoughts. Good morning, Moses.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Crossfire.
Yeah. I just want to make my contribution this way, that people go to that conference, they do not discuss the unity of Nigeria. Yeah. What they discuss is that sectional or regional program of everybody. Like, for instance, in the Northern, they are talking of Northern agenda. While the West is talking of West agenda, East is talking of West East, and South, they are talking of South South. So therefore, the unity of Nigeria was not discussed well in the last conference. If you want to go into the unity of Nigeria, there are some people who can do it. For people that I believe we have the best people in that conference. But my problem is that they did not bring out the best for Nigeria. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Moses. You can respond to Shayi's
Two wonderful questions he asked. And I said this first, that if you devolve resources to the component parts, there will be more responsibility. I said initially that where do you have, ISHIOMA, where do you have the greatest corruption? It's even at the center.
In Nigeria?
The Dasuki gates and all the gates, billions and trillions, is at the federal government. NEPA, the greatest scam we have had was in Siemens. Another one, Halliburton. Another one, power. It was at the center. When you devolve power and you ensure that the component federating units control more of their resources, I will tell my father, I will tell the local government, I'll tell the local government and the state governor that I know exactly what we get. And people will be more responsible to their people because they know exactly this issue of our property, national cake, will disappear. And so corruption will reduce. That is the truth. And then the second one, in terms of
the referendum,
whether they will manipulate it, I say this, if we explain the fundamentals and get it clear, I have dared people who believe that restructuring is not our solution to a debate. ISHIOMA, I can say this openly.
We may need to convey that debate here on CROSSFIRE.
I say this openly, that restructuring will reduce corruption by 80%. Quote me and I'll give you statistics.
80%.
It will reduce corruption by 80% because it is easy for a woman in a house with a husband who knows her husband's paycheck to ensure that the husband is more responsible to the family than outside. It is not easy for that woman, if she does not know her husband's paycheck, to do so. We do not know our governor's paycheck because they deal with Abuja. We will know our governor's paycheck when we know what each local government generates and pays to the state government, and then they transmit to the federal government 50% perhaps. They will be more responsible to the communities, more responsible to the states. For as long as you have the blame game, the alibi, Abuja, federal allocation every month, for that long you will have governors who will lie to their states, steal money and embezzle resources. That's settled. Now, the issues are when Nasarawa State realizes that 34 mineral resources in our territory, they can exploit it, they can exploit and pay 50% to the federation account, they will vote in support of resource control. When the man in Okrika realizes that the oil in his territory will belong to him and the state government will pay 50% to the federal government, they will vote for resource control. And then I tell you, when the man in Sokoto and Kano understands that when the resource control comes into being, when the restructuring of our constitution comes into being, those beautiful pyramids of granite, sesame, hides and skin will return. They will vote in support of it. What is important is to tell the people the truth. It was Ustaz Uthman Namfodio who said in 1805 that conscience is an open wound. Only truth can heal it. What this country needs is the truth.
So now the issue now is we've had three fantastic, if I can put it that way, three fantastic, important and crucial national conferences in our history. Now the first was in 1994, the 1995 Constitutional Conference, which was...
Did you say fantastic? I disagree. Well, just go on.
Okay. Oh my God. Which was convoked by the late head of state, General Sani Abacha. Now, the other one we had was in 2005, which was convoked by the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo. And we also had one in 2014, which was also convened by the former president of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. Now, the issue is, in 2016, do we need to convey another national conference in restructuring Nigeria? Or we can look at some of the recommendations made, pick which we feel is suitable for us, and then move ahead, implement some of these things, and then make our country better. But do we need to go through the rigors of electing representatives from the over 250 ethnic groups? Do we also need, looking at the state of the economy today, the pockets also of the country, do we also need to spend money which could have been used for something else to convey another national conference?
Quick one, I'll take it from top to bottom. The best way to go is to look at a sovereign national conference where you can fuse the National Assembly with select elected members of the society to form...
Okay, please, let me cut you there so we'll take this call quickly. Good morning. Welcome to CROSSFIRE.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Kaladi.
Yeah. I want to contribute.
Go ahead, please.
We're talking of restructuring. It's okay, but we just look at, first of all, the credibility those people that have received to postcard that restructuring. It's also very, very important because if you don't look at that first, it's as if we keep going back again. That's what's going to happen at the end of the day. Because people will just do it to their own people. So you need to select if the president, the current president, wants to do it right. If in which year he wants to do it right, you should have first
Hello, Kolade. Sorry, we lost the call. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Interestingly, let me say this. Convoke a sovereign national conference. Yeah. What makes it sovereign is that members of the National Assembly, which is a lawmaking organ of state, will be part of it. And then subject the outcome via referendum. It's faster and smoother. But if you find that impossible, then via an executive bill, articulate the issues that Nigerians want addressed, put it as an executive bill to the National Assembly, let them debate it, and ask for input, memoranda from the Nigerian people, and come by a new law that will reflect these realities. Or the third one, the National Assembly can do it as their patriotic responsibility to the Nigerian enterprise. But let me say this, that Nigerians must understand that to continue to wish or to push further the present challenge will not do us any good. I'll give you an instance. The day we restructure this enterprise, the agitations of IPOB and MASOB will diminish. The day we restructure this enterprise, you find out that no avenger will come from the Niger Delta or another volunteer force coming because the issues of resource control shall have been dealt with. The day we do that, you find out that this marauding herdsmen will understand their limits because power at the level of the states, the state police and state commissioners of police will deal with the realities. The day we restructure this country, you find out that our collective unity will be enhanced. I believe that those who do not like it are those who see the behemoth called the federal purse, and they want to control our collective destiny and wealth. I do sincerely think that those who truly care and love Mr. President must begin to articulate these issues and make positions known to government because this government truly wants Nigeria to succeed. And at the core of this success is restructuring this federation. It is the song of the now. It is the reality of now. It is the urgency of now. And save and except those who truly care about this country begin to insist on that as a new paradigm, our search for the new republic will be like a search for Godot. Because every now and then you hear that the Niger Delta Avengers are threatening. You hear new groups. Another group comes out. Another group comes out. And what is at the core? They're saying we cannot be producing wealth, and they're using it to develop Abuja and develop other places and leave our place undeveloped. Then you hear the IPOB man saying, I am not recognizing Nigeria, I want to go. But through fiscal federalism, devolution of power, and restructuring of this enterprise will give everybody a sense of belonging, and thereupon shall grow the trees of unity, of brotherhood, and of love.
Fantastic. Okay, now, before we wrap up the show, I need to quickly ask this question. Now, another issue that is slightly gaining controversy, right now is the issue of states of origin as against states of residence. And I'll give this example. Now, somebody who was born...
So you're voting for restructuring already?
Hold on. No, somebody who was born in Lagos State, for example. Let me know his Lagos. Someone who was born in Delta State, for example. A non-Deltan was born in Delta State, for example. And we find it difficult, or what's obtainable right now, that most times, a non-indigene of that state cannot vie for political positions. A non-indigene of that state cannot get certain benefits from that state because they are not, the biological parents are not from that state. Now, restructuring address some of these problems.
Absolutely,
will it kill states of origin and give right to state of residence?
ISHIOMA, I'm going to surprise you. In the First Republic, the first mayor of Enugu was a Fulani trader called Umaru Altine. And that was in the First Republic when you had some semblance of true federalism. I tell you, if Nigerians deal and engage as a nation where the issues have been resolved and discussions accepted, we can move this country forward. You find out that the man in the Southwest will not have a distrust, mistrust, or doubt for the man from the Southeast, because the fundamentals have been well spelled out. I do not know why a man would be denied the right to aspire in a state where he was born, in a state he has lived almost all his life, in the 21st century. It beats logic. And the reason this exists is because we haven't sat down to discuss our terms of existence. Are you aware that the present American president was born by a Kenyan father?
Yes.
Are you aware that the black population in America is not up to 13%? Are you aware that the state from which his mother hails from is not even the state of Chicago from which he became president?
Yeah.
The truth is that when a people discuss and negotiate the terms of their collective existence, the collective umbrage upon which they sustain, these issues about race, region, tendency, religion, and ethnicity will diminish because they are fundamentals on which they exist. The structure on which they devolve has been well negotiated and spelled out. I look forward to a country where the Yoruba man will see the Igbo man as much a brother and vice versa. I look forward to a country where the Hausa man will see the Joku man, the Igbo man, and perhaps the Ibibio man and the Jaw man as a brother and vice versa. I look forward to a country where unity, brotherhood, and love becomes the practice of our collective engagement. And the only way to so do is to restructure this country along the lines of true fiscal federalism, justice, fairness, equity, and togetherness.
Interesting. Okay, so let's take Shino's call. Hello, Shino. Okay, sorry, we lost that call. Okay, now I need to ask this question. Now, I remember when the debate for state policing came up, there were some arguments against state policing, saying that no, the respective state governors will capitalize on it and use it as a means of witch hunt to witch hunt political rivals. Now, do you think by the time we restructure Nigeria, now, some of these fears or some of these issues, yes, the benefits and the gains are there. We cannot dispute that. But let's also look at some of the disadvantages. The issue of state policing, yes, will come in when we restructure Nigeria. But the issue now of using it as a means to witch hunt political rivals, the means of using it to muzzle down the voices of the people, will it arise? And what are those things we can do to make sure that that doesn't arise?
Simple answer, ISHIOMA. Is the federal government using the federal police to witch hunt adversaries, political foes, political enemies, political opponents? If the answer is yes or no,
maybe we can say yes, maybe it happened in Rivers State, for example, based on information out there.
I don't even want to pin it down.
Okay.
Every ideal has its pros and cons. But I'm telling you that the negatives of a state police are far less than the positives. The positives are far more. If just conjecture with what is happening around, if Enugu State had state police, would the herdsmen attack Nimbo? If Benue State has state police, will the herdsmen attack Benue? These are fundamental issues. If you want to enhance security, as it obtains all over the world, even in India, even in China, you need district, mayoral, constituency policing, and state policing. I think that we have so much wielding federal government. It is so much of a unitary system that we have to break the lie. The time has come for us to address the fundamentals, restructure this country, allow power to devolve to the federating units, and move this country forward. That is the way to build confidence, that is the way to build love, that is the way to build unity, and that is the way to grow our economy.
Interesting. The argument, we cannot say no to those. But then, of course, thank you for joining us on the program today. Have a beautiful weekend, say no to violence, and God bless Nigeria.
To enjoy more of these our Ogbonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love her.